Hey guys, welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. This is Kneon. We're gonna talk about the digital media extinction event. I'm not kidding. That is what they are calling it. BuzzFeed is calling it. That the coronavirus could be a media extinction event. We're not just talking about newspapers. We're talking about websites. We're talking about pop culture websites. We've got some insiders that are telling us that some of these pop culture websites that we've been talking about for years that have been baiting the fans and just being a general pain in the ass to fandoms and certain creators are falling on hard times because of the lack of advertising revenue. Now, this is something that's going on across the board for a number of websites. In fact, we do run a couple of websites, and we had our advertising network reach out to us about 2 weeks ago and tell us that we could expect up to 70% less revenue this quarter because of the shutdown, because a lot of companies are trying to conserve money. Businesses are going out of business completely. They're not spending on websites. They're, conserving all the cash they can conserve. And it's really interesting when it comes to sites like Comic Book Resources, because we've said in the last couple of weeks, something is changing at these websites. Something is definitely changing. They're not as antagonistic toward the fandom as they used to be. They seem like they're either shooting for stories that are more middle of the road, or they are actually taking the side of fans. Comicbook.com is doing this as well. So is Screen Rant. And this might have to do with a mandate that, they gotta bring views and they can't alienate their audiences anymore. But we're going to talk about Comic Book Resources here in a little bit. As we understand it from insiders that we have at Comic Book Resources, the website is not doing that well. They've actually given a pay cut across the board, and it's like 30% pay cut, something like that, on stories. Now, what shocked me about this, according to this insider, is that Comic Book Resources doesn't pay very well at all. I knew they didn't pay very much per article. What I was absolutely shocked is that they pay as low as $5 per article. $5 for what could be an hour or two's worth of work. Now, granted, some people just like to write about things they love, so to them it's not a big deal. But it does show that a lot of the people maybe writing for Comic Book Resources, maybe aren't in it for the money. Obviously, they're not in it for the money. They're in it for the platform. And we've talked about this before, and it all starts to click when you realize the money is not really there. So you're getting people that don't really care about money. You have people that probably have maybe a little bit of a socialist bent, because they're not making a whole lot of money. They don't seem very interested in making money. They seem more interested in pushing ideologies. And, we said before, when it comes to the comic book industry, you get what you pay for. And the comic book industry is ground into the dirt at this point. And a lot of it, people blame a lot of the creators that they've been getting in recent years that, one, the quality of the work hasn't been that good. And two, they tend to run at the mouth. They seem more interested in using the platform to push political opinions or hot takes than they do actually promoting their products and selling products for the company. So when you get that mindset, I always say you get what you pay for, and that, professionalism left the comic book industry when the money did, because the people who can make big bucks in comics, they moved on to movies and video games and other things that pay better, frankly, because the comic book industry now isn't as commercially minded as it used to be, and it shows. When you're not interested in making money, you're going to make decisions that don't make money. You're going to alienate people. You're going to push money away. And, these websites that support the comic book industry, again, they write garbage articles like toxic masculinity created the Joker because it's clickbait. Because this, person probably only got $5 or $10 to write this article, but gosh, doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel good to stick it to the fans? Comic Book Resources and other sites were used to run down people who identified as Comicsgate. All kinds of hit pieces, and you would look at a lot of these websites and you would see the same names pop up from site to site. And so you almost get like these carpetbagging freelance journalists just kind of moving from site to site. But this is going to end real soon. because we are looking at another digital media apocalypse, because the ad revenue that has been bankrolling these websites is running out. And again, I can vouch for this because we got the message from our ad network that said, I hate to break it to you, but you guys can expect about 70%, up to 70% less revenue this quarter. Not our fault. People just aren't spending money. And we're seeing it in YouTube too, not as severe, but even though our numbers are going up, our revenue is down a little bit. Now, I do think video advertising it still seems to be the advertising platform of choice, but banner ads are taking a hit. Absolutely. And I think this is why you're seeing more and more of these news outlets pushing for subscriptions. They want you to subscribe to the website. But here's the thing. When you spend 5 years attacking readers, attacking fans, do you really think they're going to give you money to support you directly? Do you really think that's how it's going to work? Do you really think a lot of people are going to give sites like the Mary Sue and what else we got? Comic Book Resources and all these other websites, are they going to give them a lot of money every month to keep the site online? When a lot of people that they appeal to probably don't have the money to give them, for one thing. And, you know, other people who read the site, they're not going to give them money. They've been attacked for years. So this is coming from BuzzFeed itself, which is going to have to lay off people. The coronavirus is a media extinction event. I think we'll unfortunately see more closures of newspapers, more news deserts as a result of this. Of course, you know, BuzzFeed is going to be like, guys, we need more news. We need more news. It's going to be Darwinism. People are going to continue to go to the news outlets they trust, and a lot of these new media companies that have been struggling. Again, last year, 7,800 people lost their jobs, and that's when things were good, right? A lot of these sites are going to get shut down. They're going to get shut down. New York Times, news media outlets have been ravaged by the pandemic. Roughly 28,000 workers at news companies nationwide have been laid off. Last year, 7,800 people were laid off in digital media outlets, and they called it a crisis. Now we've got 28,000. Some have been laid off, furloughed, or had their pay reduced. Some publications that rely on ads have been shut down. Yes, they've been shut down because we're talking 70% less advertising revenue during the shutdown. The traffic numbers are way up, said the president and chief executive of News Media Alliance. The digital subscriptions are hanging in there. The ad contraction is brutal and continuing. So hard data on job losses is not yet available, but Jed Kolko, the chief economist at Indeed, said new listings for jobs in the media and communications sector had fallen 35% in the 60 days before April 3rd, compared with the same period last year. The decline in postings for all jobs was less drastic at 24%, suggesting that the pandemic has had a greater effect on the news media industry than on other businesses. Non-essential. You are non-essential. Your pop culture website, your hot takes, your paid Tumblr blog is a non-essential. And people are conserving ad revenue and they're not spending it on your damn website. BuzzFeed was headed toward profitability this year. Not anymore, said the chief executive in a March 25th staff memo. The news and lifestyle site has cut salaries in April and May for all U.S. employees, making more than $40,000 a year. Top execs will have a reduction at 25%, and Mr. Peretti, the chief executive, will forego his salary until the crisis has passed. BuzzFeed is also seeking partners for operations in other countries and will close those offices if it can't find partners. Denver Post laid off 13 people. Let's see, Geo Media, the owner of Gizmodo, Jezebel, The Onion, and Deadspin laid off 14 people, or less than 5% of its employees. They've already had problems. They had the problems with the union, Deadspin. There was a lot of controversy. I expect these sites, one or more of these sites, to shut down. Again, they depend on banner ad revenue, and they're not getting it. Group 9 Media, publisher of The Dodo and Now This, laid off 50 people, or 7% of its workforce. In-flight magazines are being shut down. Again, this is not unusual because you look at what's going on in comics. They're pausing comics, and I think a lot of these publishers aren't going to come back. Vice Media, the digital outlet and TV studio, instituted 4-day work weeks for staff members who earn more than $100,000 a year for a 90-day period starting in April. Who makes $100,000 a year working for Vice? Writing garbage articles? Are they the video people or what? Those earning more than $125,000 will have their pay reduced by 20%. Employees making between $100,000 and $125,000 will take a 10% cut. The chief executive is going to take a 50% pay cut. Vox Media has not laid anyone off, but Jim Bankoff, its chief executive officer, said in an April 8th internal memo that measures could be in the offing within the next week or so. So watch Vox. I think Vox probably will lay people off. And you know what's going to happen? There are tons and tons and tons of newspapers laying people off. You know what's going to happen, right? A lot of these laid off journalists are going to start panhandling on Patreon. They're going to try to start podcasts and YouTube channels after they spent years attacking people who were doing just that. Again, Comic Book Resources, that's a site that really loves to stick it to Comicsgate. And what's going to happen is some of these journos are going to try to go do YouTube or something themselves, and they're not going to do very well at it because they've spent so much time attacking fans. And on YouTube, people can sort through the bullshit a whole lot easier than they can when you're in your pulpit, when you're on your pedestal. Again, more articles. You go out there and just look for digital media layoffs on Google News. Geo Media, Gawker, Daily Beast, and Vice cut some pay. Here again, coming from some other websites dealing with media groups. I mean, it's bad, people. It's bad because, you know, even advertising, ad marketing industries are going to be laying people off. So even the ad agencies are laying people off because they're not spending money. These companies are not spending money on advertising because they don't know what's going to happen. So all of this is contracting. And if there's no ad revenue coming in, then your site gets shut down. So that's why I think sites like Comic Book Resources, sites like Screen Rant have been trying to be a little more fan-friendly lately because they want to survive the purge. And God, I can't believe they're only paying, even when times were good for these sites, they're only paying $5 an article. That is crazy. Now it's going to be less than that because you're getting a 30% cut, according to our sources. So this is insane, guys. There's going to be a massive purge. I think a lot of these websites are not going to survive, especially what are they going to talk about? What if the comic book industry implodes? It's already in the process of imploding. There's not going to be any more movies for a while. You know, production has halted on a lot of... What are they going to talk about? What are they going to talk about? You know, and there's no ad revenue. So a lot of these sites, I'm sorry, they're fucked. They're absolutely fucked. And the people working for them who spent years attacking fans, you can't go panhandle and start your own little side career because people will remember what a douchebag you actually were. And that's just the way it works. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we will talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.